This podcast contains real stories, adult language, and occasional chaos. Some content may not be suitable for all audiences. Listener discretion is advised, especially if you're easily offended, overly nostalgic, or still living in a dorm.
Everybody, welcome back to another episode of Dorm Disorder. This is part 2.
So I do want to say, like, when we would go into the chapel, like when you're a senior, you get to walk in, you get to stroll right down the middle and walk to the front. And that's like the coolest shit ever, to just be able to walk. Like, you come in last, and all eyes are on you.
Yeah.
And that class was the first time I looked and I was like, oh shit, like I'm close to this now because of where I was positioned. Watching them walk in those blue blazers, and I'm like, shit, I need a blue blazer. Like, it just, and they carried themselves with swag.
Yeah.
So it just like, just the swag came in and it just like made me want to get there. So I looked up to them even more from that first chapel service. Like, that was my goal at that point, because when you're younger, you're just trying to get through a day, and then you're trying to get through a year, or you're trying to get through a month.
Yeah.
But when you get to high school and you're close to those seniors and you see the perks they're getting, then that becomes the goal. Like, that was the goal. It took me an extra year to get there, but that was the goal.
Yeah, we had those same kind of feelings, you know, and our feeling came, like, we felt, I don't know, it's hard to put this into a word, but our major year was 7th grade, Mariner Hall. You know, a lot of transitions happened between 6th and 7th grade, 7th grade being a major.
Yeah.
You know, because this is before Merchant Hall. Merchant Hall, we saw that as independence. You know, that was our independence. You know, that was our separation from S to a better S. You know, Mr. Saunders was the better version of the S. And he, you know, made sure we became the men that we were going to become, because, you know, was it the military thing? I don't know, but we saw how once the guys got in 8th grade at Merchant Hall, they got sturdy, you know, because Mr. Saunders didn't really play a whole lot of BS.
Did not.
And, you know, all the BS was happening from 7th grade down, you know, It was happening. So it seemed like in 7th grade, our whole class was retained on retention. Now, it seemed like that retention stuff happened only that year.
Right.
I don't remember 6th grade and retention and 5th grade or ever hearing that word. But when retention for the 7th grade came, it looked like our whole entire class was retained. Like, we had to stay there for the weekend, study hall, extra study. You maybe could go home Saturday, but you had to stay Friday night for extended study hall because everybody seemed to be failing.
Yeah.
Like, how are we all failing? Like, what's going on? Like, you know, they're changing this. They're changing the curve system.
Yeah.
A is now a 93 to a 91.
Yeah.
You know, we got, I don't know, all different curriculum, electives. We got all this different stuff happening. We shortening the middle school. We expanding the middle school. We doing this, you know, all these different things. And it seemed like it's happening to our class first.
Okay.
Without us knowing, you know, we just going through it and figuring it out later. But, you know, if you made it past Mariner and the Merchant, then you going to make it through high school. So, you know, I don't remember a class that we really looked up to. You know, we used to get chased around a lot by 87. We got chased off the senior walk a lot by 88. You know, Doug Cooper and you know, they stayed on our ASS. 91, not really. You know, I mean, not 91. 89. We didn't fare them too much. You know, we felt like we was them or maybe better than them in a lot of ways, which we wasn't. But, you know, we didn't feel like there was competition for us. We felt our competition was somewhere else.
Yeah.
You know, just for us to carry it the way we did. So, you know, once we got to be singers, it felt different for us. Like, it felt like we were already there. Like, you know, we did this already. That's why we started changing stuff. Like, you know, let's see what we could change. Let's see what we could do different. You know, and that's what we did. We tried to find whatever we could do to leave our mark on it, whereas, you know, we did something somebody else didn't do as a class.
Right. But you co-signed a little bit on an argument that I had made in a previous episode that the even number classes were the assholes.
I believe it. I believe it. You know, and looking back on it, it seems that way. You know, because it's hard to pinpoint a lot of the odd number classes that were, you know, out of pocket.
Yeah.
You know, if they were out of pocket, they didn't graduate. So
Right,
you know,
right.
And I don't like to say our class was out of pocket, but you know, they let us slide. They let us get away with a whole lot of stuff, man. Even, you know, up to the graduation day. You know, it was one of our guys that didn't graduate with us. He's in the book though, and rest in peace to him. But you know, he was the last one kicking ass. To the point that
Right out the
sent him
door.
we send you your yearbook. Don't even come here. Like, you know, you done. You home on detention already. Stay home. So, you know, they 90, man.
Yeah.
I still stick by this, that what my class was absolute a-holes, because I don't know if this happened to any other class before or after, but when we were in middle school, we got into fights every single PE session we had. It got so bad that they banned us from having PE
Now,
for like 3 weeks.
You
We
mean-
had no PE
fighting amongst each other, or
amongst each other. Like on that walk to PE,
yeah,
from the high school, middle school building to PE, we got into a fight. Somebody was fighting somebody.
That's
And they just
bad.
said, you know what? Y'all just won't walk to PE no more. We had to go sit in the high school auditorium for weeks.
See,
And and PE was 2 periods instead of 1. So that was a long sit and do nothing
Hour and a
period.
half.
well,
Yeah.
we had a situation, you know, and it was a building teaching. You know, it was like something we would have to go through as kids in school, boarding school, young men. Because the girls that came in, they weren't close enough in our age or class to affect anything that was happening with us as far as our daily routine in school.
Right.
You know, they were too far away from us. They weren't in any of our classes or anywhere around us for real. So it's still all boys in 90 and for us.
Right.
Yeah.
And we're going back and forth to gym. And in our class, you know, we had our round of certain dudes that was bullies.
Right.
You know,
Every
the
class.
bullies. Every class
Yeah.
had their bully, and we had ours. And you know, the bully would had their dude or people who they messed with, and you know, tried to fight and do whatever they wanted to do to. And one day, one of the guys was standing up for themselves. Like, I'm not going to take it from this bully no more.
Mhm.
So all of this is happening on the walk from gym and back from gym. You know, on the way to gym, bully picking on the guy. On the way back from gym, the guy going to get his redemption.
Mhm.
So, you know, by this point, we all know the redemption is coming. So everybody's behind the guy that's getting bullied because we want to see
What he
him
gonna
get his
do?
redemption.
Yeah.
And, you know, the bully is somewhere away in front of the crowd, ready to pop out because we know he up there hiding, because that's what he always do. He hide on the route, then jump out somewhere on the side of the chapel, on the big soccer field, you know, in between there. And sure enough, he come running out. It's like a movie, you know, like Warriors or something. And, you know, we all behind the underdog. We behind him because we want to see him get his redemption.
Uh-huh.
He got his heart out outside of his chest
Uh-huh.
because he gonna go fight the bully, and he fought the bully. They fighting. You know, the bully still whooped his ass, but
As
you
the
know,
bullies usually did.
we felt like the underdog won because
Yeah.
he put his heart up, and you know, the bully kind of fell back off of him too. Like, you know, I ain't gonna mess with him all the time now because he got the heart. He fought him back, and that's what you have to do sometimes when
Yep.
shit is tough. You just gotta fight. Go against it a little bit, and you know, it'll get easier for you some kind of way.
Yeah.
And we saw that happening. Like, you know, if it wasn't your story can attach to that and use that for motivation and inspiration because it really can happen. So,
Yeah.
you know, a lot of Girard was just eliminating the bully or eliminating the bully in your mind
Mm-hmm.
or from your mind. So
Yeah.
it's a lifetime of Girard lessons and things that you could take away from the school. And, you know, it's just how you carry it throughout your lifetime. Because we've been outside of Girard longer than we've been in Girard.
Yeah.
You know, and we still come here today to reminisce on Girard and things that it taught us, you know, as far as being men and what we're doing. So, you know, we should give it a lot of credit, give it more credit than we may. you know, I haven't sent any of my children to Girard College, and I don't know any of my classmates that did or anybody that did.
One of my classmates did, actually.
Yeah.
Yes, actually, two of my classmates had their kids in Girard for at least a period of time. I'm pretty sure.
So that
Parents
means
graduate.
Girard is pretty valuable to them, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh,
it's- I think it's valuable to everyone. You know, it's valuable to all of us. Through life, I say things like everyone knows somebody that went to Girard College.
Yeah.
You know, because even if you don't, like, say if she didn't, now she does. She knows 3 of us.
Yeah.
Or
Right.
anybody that comes through here from Girard College or anybody you meet. So, you know, we still spread it. You know, we represent it. You know, so we're the representatives, ambassadors. I'm a son of Philadelphia more than a son of Girard, but, you know, Stephen Girard does have my birth certificate.
Yeah. You got all of our birth
Yeah,
certificates.
The original.
So you actually went there with your brother too. So how is that like that family dynamic like through the years, even after you graduated until his graduation time?
Well, it made me like during my time at Girard, I had to pay closer attention to my brother.
Mhm.
You know, like I would always have somebody running up to me like, "You better get your brother. You better watch it. You know, whatever he did, he about to make me pay for it." But it's like, come on now, you know. So, you know, sometimes I would have to talk to my brother and tell him to stop messing with people. But then again, you know, he's his own man. He
Yeah.
gonna do what he want to do. And,
Right.
you know, it was all right because I looked at other brothers that were there and saw how they were with their brother.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't have to be like, you know, my brother's dad or anything like that. All I had to do was just make sure nobody tried to hurt him.
Right.
And nobody did. So, you know, I think I did my part as far as an older brother is concerned. And yeah, I definitely paid attention to everybody else that had a brother there just to see what their bond
It
was
did,
like.
yeah.
And I think our bond is all the same. You know, I love my brother. I all my brothers, and I include my Girard brothers as
Absolutely.
my brothers too. So I just feel like I got a world full of brothers.
Yeah.
You know, and if they acknowledge and reciprocate the same, is even more. So, you know, it's our heart. Like this is our heart. You know, we're all connected through this Girard bloodline, bloodstream, blood.
Experience.
Yeah.
What was it like? Because you started at 5th grade, so you were in junior school.
Mm-hmm.
Your brother was a couple of grades behind you because I
Mhm.
think I was closer to him
Mm-hmm.
in age. Like we were in junior school for a little while, so
Yeah.
I remember him very fondly. What was that like when that separation happened? When like you're in banker and he's still in junior school?
I would have to go to junior school sometimes to meet him when we were going home, you know, because I didn't really see him a lot during the school times in the years once I started going up in Banker Hall and Mariner. But once he became in the middle school, I would see him, you know,
Yeah.
more often. And again, like, you know, that's my brother and I lived with him forever. So I wasn't trying to look for him every day. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
that was my time to get away from him sometimes.
Right.
And he wasn't always the tag along brother that want to be on my ass. So, you know, I was happy for him to have independence, his own friends, his own vision, his own way of doing things. You know, really like, you know, he became his own individual there.
Right.
And I was happy for that for him because, you know, just speaking on him a little bit, it was hard for him adjusting to Girard College in the beginning. Like, you know, I remember times when he would cry when we about to come to school, you know, and it would make me sad because I know like he don't like it. Like he don't really, you know, but we're doing this. Like, you know, we have to do this. This is our life right now. So
Right.
I saw how hard it was for him. But, you know, after a while, you know, he got his friends list together and, you know, he got comfortable enough with it where he was able to progress. So, you know.
I think it's important, and I think, you know, by not living together in the same dorm, I think that does enable you to have to become your own person and not have anybody to lean on. Like my brother's 2 grades ahead of me, or whatever the case may be. I'm not going to be able to get to him at night. So I think it does teaches you that ability to be your own person, your own individual. to kind of get through Girard. But I do have a serious question for you because we came at the same time. So here's my serious question: what color suitcase did they give you? Because mine was burnt orange. Mine was burnt orange. I know they had some yellow ones too that they gave us.
I had the burnt orange.
Yeah,
one.
the burnt
I
orange
think it was
one.
a leather or pleather or
Yeah,
some kind of,
yeah.
you know. And I remember that suitcase being in the basement of my mom's house for decades. Like,
Yes.
after,
Y'all took them Jones home, huh?
Yeah,
it's
so that's what it was for. It was for us to take our clothes
I mean,
home.
but it stayed.
Yeah.
I never used it for anything else, man. I like whatever stuff I brought home from GC was in that suitcase, and you know whatever didn't survive the flood was gone. So that
We look like little traveling businnemen.
Yeah,
like
I feel cheated, though.
we were coming
what
home.
did you
Like
have?
We got nothing. Yeah, we had to bring our own bags. I had to pack my own stuff.
I said, it was burnt orange. You didn't miss
Girard,
nothing. It
like
was-
Girard College used to give us everything.
yeah, they did.
And,
They didn't
you
give me no draws.
I heard about that. Yeah, we had ours. We names stitched into them.
Yep.
Names and everything, you know, and that was like, you know, part of the adjustment of Girard. It was kind of fun, really, like, you know, just to see my name on stuff. So,
Yeah.
you know, it made me feel like it belonged to me. It was mine. Finally got my own stuff. Like, you know, didn't have to share with my brother or nothing like that, you
Yeah.
know, which I don't mind, but, you know, it's just a different feeling.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. Yeah. I did want to touch on something we did talk about. And if you don't want to talk about it or say why, it's fine too. But the protest that your class had with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Oh, yeah.
And like what brought that on? And the end result, I know you wound up in the president's office.
Yeah. Again, man, these days and times of 88, 89, 90, a lot of the social and political nationalistic ideologies floating around, and, you know, our ability to have protests, you know, that led us to one day say we don't want to stand up for the Pledge of Allegiance inside of this auditorium, inside of, you know, this assembly. And we have assembly every day. So we're in front of the assembly, 11th, 12th grade, we're up there in the front of the crowd.
Right.
And I think we might have started this, was it 11th grade? You know, 12th grade standing, everybody standing, our class not standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. So it's sticking out, you know, and then by the 12th grade, I think we did it, like we kept doing it until the president of the school called us in for a meeting and told us that we had to stand up for the Pledge of Allegiance. We couldn't have this kind of outward protest because the rest of the students could become affected by it. But, you know, whatever we were trying to protest and argue for, they heard us on our arguments. They tried to mediate whatever our argument was. And I think it was more of us just doing it because we wanted to disrupt the scene. You know, because I don't really know what we was doing it for, you know, at this point now, you know, just to say
it's so long
this
ago.
was the reason we did it. But, you know, when you got guys politically charged like Elijah Love, you know what I mean? If he gets you hyped up, you going to do whatever he hyping us up to do, because he was one of our leaders.
Yeah.
So it's interesting you mentioned Elijah. Do you remember when he came back to Girard?
Came back. Oh,
Elijah, he came back and gave the entire student body in chapel one day a very powerful and pointed speech. And he started that speech off with, "I'm sorry, but I'm going to exclude some people today. I'm only talking to the young black men that are assembled here today." And fast forward to 2025, boy, was that speech spot on what he was trying to deliver to us. And I appreciated that he still came back. And again, you talk about our brotherhood and how we care and love for one each other post walking through that door, that gate for that last time as a student. And he gave a very charged, beautiful speech from his heart and from his soul and from his mind about the challenges that we would face once we left Girard.
And that is who we are. That is who we are. You know, as leaders and as people like that have a vision and that are a part of a vision and a part of a whole scheme of things, we recognize our position. You know, that was our thing. Like 90, we're going to know where we fit in with whatever's going on. Because we don't want nobody to blindside us and tell us what we can and can't do. We want to know where we're at on the line so we know what we can do, how far we can go and how far we can't go. So Elijah, I mean, I just know based on his family, like they were always aware, like culturally aware, active, and just like, you know, a vision of things that's going to happen. Like I know this with Elijah. His uncle taught at Harrington the year before I got there, maybe longer, but I experienced him the year before I came to Girard. He was a music teacher there. And I didn't know Elijah before Girard, but that connection with his uncle, once I told him that, you know, it just put me and Elijah closer. And he was in section 12 when I got there. So we were there together. He was there, I think, since the first grade. So Elijah really has a story to tell if he ever would come on here. But, you know, that's my brother, man. That's my brother.
Absolutely.
You know, I can call him right now. So, you know, And anybody from my class, you know, from Cheeseboro, from Jai Hill, you know, Neil McNair, you know, rest in peace, Dwayne Davis. You know, he was somebody that, you know, stood up and stood out. You know, Jeffrey Pope, rest in peace. He stood up and stood out. You know what I mean? I don't know where John Louis Diamonica is today, but he's a standout. You know, there's a bunch of guys that didn't graduate, but I know they still stand out guys, you know, from my class.
Well, one of the things you talked about and definitely points to the, like, you guys' unity is we talked about how you guys kind of pushed Jai and, you know, to help him be the athlete that he became for us.
Yes, because it comes a point in time in your high school, like your high school endeavors, if you're looking at college or to go further past high school, you know, they're telling you like, well, your academic record is what's going to count. Your grades, whatever you achieve, whatever you become a part of, you know, scholastics and, you know, sports, whatever you can put on your little thing under your name that you did 9, 10, 11, 12th grade.
Right.
Yep.
So Jai, he's always been an athlete, but you know, he got the fire in him to be the top level, you know, Kobe. He wanted to be Kobe back then.
Right.
And he had the ability to do it. You know, it was within his reach. Like he was physically capable of doing it. And he knew all he had to do was dedicate and lock in.
Right.
How could he dedicate and lock in? He needed inspiration.
Right.
He needed somebody to push him a little bit, you know, to drive, the extra drive. Whenever he would stop and get tired, you know, that's me, Elijah, Eric, Sean Miller, you know, anybody that's on the sideline cheering for him during practice.
Right.
You know, around back in the backyard gym when it's just me and him outside on the basketball court near Mr. Young house, like outside of Allen Hall, out there, outside.
Yeah,
But,
those courts used to have some games on those.
Yeah.
for real.
I still have nightmares about those, honestly.
You know, it was like, you know, we saw his potential and we saw where he can go and how far he can make it if he kept working hard. So we shooting the ball with him. Like I hate full court basketball. I'm a roughhouse dude.
Right.
You know, but I would get out there just to play so he can keep playing. You know, whatever it would take for him to go. Like then when it comes to the school spirit, like, all right, do we need the crowd hype? Let me go hype up the crowd. Cause he's on, you know, he's on the floor and he just the energy that he needs so he can slam dunk. He slam, boom. Everybody cheer.
Yeah.
So, you know, we did that. Like, and he can tell you that.
Welcome to the Terror Dome.
Yeah.
We put that up there. That was our banner for him. Like, you know, this Air Hill.
Forgot about that.
And I don't, you know, it was other athletes there, Terrence Wright and, you know, Adrian Miles and Jeffrey Miles and Michael Leatherberry and Odell Kyler and all those other, you know, scholarly athletes that did big shit. Jai was our guy.
Yeah.
90. So he did that. That's it.
No, that just shows like how important, like as much as we cared about our own individual success, it was always important to us to push each other to be better. And that was just such a great example.
And I'm forgetting because he wasn't only basketball. You know, Jai was our goalie on the soccer team, 8th grade soccer. He was our goalie, like an all-star goalie. You know, he was any sport that he touched, he was a master. You know, and that was our thing. Like we consider ourselves masters at anything that we did. Like we wanted to be at the highest level of a master. So whoever was the master, you had to try to beat him, or, you know, try to get up as high as you can get on any level, from art to school to taking a test. You know, we didn't really deal with the band and, you know, Mr. Schultz and all them dudes and Mr. Jones and nothing. But, you know, anything else, we was in competition with each other to be the best at whatever it was. You know, if it was making ninja stars out of paper, you know, we was doing that. Dungeons and Dragons. I didn't know how to play Dungeons and Dragons, but I would compete just to try to be better than Jai because he had a gang Dungeons and Dragons. So, you know, it was whatever we can do to try to be the competition with each other. And it helped us. You know, it helped all of us be at our top level. And we love each other for that.
Very artistic, very good at drawing, graffiti, and Founders Day. They had some pictures and some articles out in Founders Hall. We're walking around, and don't I come up to a glass case and I see article by Wardell Ringold, and I said, well, now I got to read this article because that's my man. I'm like, and I'm reading it. It was about a talent show. You know, I'm going, this was another posse. This was the White Boy Posse, who performed a Beastie Boys song.
Yeah.
And why don't you just tell us a little bit about that article?
Okay. Now this is like, you know, my time and my experience with the Girard News and just becoming a writer was like one of my first outward forms of expression that I was good at as a talent. You know, I figured out. I mean, art was always with me, but, you know, writing, I had more ability to write and more times and opportunities to write. And my writing developed to a point where I was able to become on the Girard News. I was part of Girard News before I was even in high school. Yeah. And I had to get like permission from the rest of the school news staff, which were high school students. Like, okay, I had to submit a few articles, like an initiation. And they said, okay, we can work with them. And Mr. Gartside, I think, was like in charge of the newspaper at that time. Yeah. And he was another person, like, you know, I don't know if I would have a favorite teacher, but if it was a favorite teacher or administrator, Mr. Gartside would be mine.
That was yours, yeah.
Because he helped bring out all of the talent that I had as far as being a journalist, journalism, writing skills. Mr. Stein did too. Yeah. The English teacher, Mr. Stein, because he's the one that actually gave us journals. You know, he gave us a journal. You can write in the journal, and writing for me started with the journal. You know, just writing my thoughts or whatever we could put in the book. And he didn't grade us on the stuff. He would just read it and proofread it and tell us our errors and, you know, talk to us a little bit about it. But it was mostly our diary for us to write whatever we wanted to write. And he would just tighten us up on our technique in writing. So I just expanded from that. But the White Boy Posse, that was just the entertainment dudes on the campus, which were some upperclassmen, I think class of 87, some of the guys. And I'm sorry, I can't think of his name right now, but he was like a talented dude that can rap. He was a white dude. So I wrote the article about him. I think he wrote, he might have won the talent show. But him and two of the guys he was with, they were like, you know, the representation of the Beastie Boys, but they had their own song that they did.
Yeah. Nice.
You know, my article was about them winning the talent show. And I guess it was a good article, but I had to get to that point because I remember maybe an article before that I wrote that wasn't so good. And I got called out about it from an upperclassman named Gavin Walcott. And I'm saying this and thanks, you know, I want to thank him.
Yep.
Because he's an upperclassman that looked out and caught me in the mistakes that I was making in my writing, whereas I wasn't coming from points of fact. I was coming from my opinion and what I thought it was.
Right.
And when you're writing, you can't write like that,
Yeah.
unless it's an opinionated type of an article.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm trying to write based on facts, so I need to do my research and my diligence and get the facts and write on that. And that's what Gavin taught me, because my article was all wrong and it was still printed in the Girard News. That's how he brought it to me. Like, all of this is wrong.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to write about music that I don't know about. So, he schooled me on that. So again, Gavin Walcott, wherever you're at, I think class of 87, 86. My God.
So what the article was on was the White Boy Posse wore their jock straps over top of their pants
I forgot.
when they performed. Yeah, that's what I read. That's what I read on Founders Day.
Yeah,
And
forgot, man.
so they got in trouble. They were called into the office, but that's
Okay.
basically what the article was on, was the what they did during the performance and the aftermath
Okay.
of what happened afterwards. So
I gotta go read that now.
yeah,
That's the
it's
drama.
interesting. Yeah,
Like, it's always a little bit of drama mixed in, man. So, you can't have Girard without some kind of drama in the background. So that's the realness.
So I always try to throw in a humdinger, and I don't have nothing too big. But what I do want to know is, what was your favorite food, and what was your worst and most hated food at Girard?
Favorite food? I guess it would have to be the waffles, the rectangle shaped waffles, the little mini waffles.
Them Jones was hard as rocks, man. How you like them?
I don't know, man. It got to a certain point in years where it was like a contest, like how many waffles can we eat?
Yeah.
Because when they first come out, they're soft.
Right, yeah.
You can get them, put butter on them, and like me and Larry Howard used to have contests of just how many waffles we can eat. So that was the favorite. And I guess the worst food was cream chip beef.
Thank you.
What?
Finally.
I would tear some cream chip beef up today. That's just a food you don't appreciate as a child. As an adult, that's something that you love. So
I spent 13 years in the Army, and cream chip beef, we call that shit on a shingle. Ain't no way I'm eating cream
they
chip
called
beef.
it there at Girard. They called it there at
SOS.
Girard. That was, who was it? Miss Myrtle?
Miss Myrtle.
Yeah.
Myrtle had some cakes and some
We called
gravy.
that-
Myrtle.
We heard it called that there. But yeah, man, cream chip beef probably was the worst. I don't know what was worse than that.
I got something worse than that. That chicken a la king.
Oh, that
out.
was pretty horrible.
I'm out on it. All I ate that
the
night when
noodles.
they served that was the little noodles.
That's all I ever ate.
Pour that shit on my plate and pour some soy sauce on it and just ate those dry noodles.
I mean,
I was not eating chicken a la king.
We on the topic of food and stuff. I got a story. I mean, I'm not going to say the person's name, but they were a newbie in the 6th grade.
Uh-huh.
I was a newbie in the 5th grade, so I was ready for the next newbies to come in so I could see what it's like for them.
Right.
And, one of the newbies came in, and usually you will come in like during the time after school, but before bedtime. So you might be in time for the dinner, for the meal.
Right.
So, this newbie was in time for the meal, and it seemed like that he was waiting for it. Like,
Ready to go.
yeah, spaghetti. Spaghetti night. So, when you the newbie, they watching you. They paying attention to what you doing and, how you doing it. So, this dude had a couple plates and brought it upstairs. Not the spaghetti, but, came upstairs to Banker Hall. The
Yeah.
dorm is on top of the dining room.
Above
So you just
DNS,
go
yeah.
up one flight of steps and you upstairs.
Right.
So now, we're in the assembly room, probably about to have an assembly before bedtime or whatever. And the newbies, I think they're introducing the newbies one more time so everybody know who they are and asking them about their day and was everything cool. And, I remember in 5th grade, they used to say, all right, now you want to get upstairs first so you could get your spot in the bed, like making you think it's a big bed we all about to jump in. That's what I thought my year. But I don't think they played that same trick with the 6th grade newbies. But before any of that happened, this newbie was up in front of everybody. You just come from dinner. You start coughing and a little bit. Next thing you know, spaghetti shooting out from everywhere.
Oh.
Everywhere. Nose, ears, everywhere.
Oh.
Oh,
That was nasty.
man.
That was crazy.
I got a Myrtle story, but I don't think it's appropriate right now. And we're going short on time, so maybe I'll just hold on that for another episode. You want to? Is anybody that you would, anybody in particular, or any person? You mentioned Mr. Garside, but even if it was another student, like somebody you would want to like thank right now for making your time at Girard what it was.
I mean, I can name a few people, but off top, I would say like a upperclassman that helped shape my vision and help keep me cool at times when maybe I might have, been upset about things was Mel Young, Demetrius Mel Young.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
I think he was like class of 86 or 87.
Mm-hmm.
He was a cool New York dude, and he knew how to draw. He was good at like a wicked style of graffiti, and he was just showing me little things on paper that I can do. And he kind of kept me close as like a big brother. I don't have a big brother or older brother, so
you were the big brother.
Yeah, I accepted him as my big brother at that time. And everybody really that that had love for me and kept me out of harm's way. I appreciate something out of everybody that I had an interaction with at Girard, really, like, a positive interaction. And even later, I was able to appreciate dudes like Jay Fitzgerald. He used to tease me in my first year. And I think he was close to being a senior.
Right.
I'm in 5th grade. Picking on me, bro. Like, but I would see him today and thank him because, that kind of like shaped me and made me able to accept things in life.
Right.
Things coming from different weird angles.
Right.
Robert Washington, he was another one. I don't know where he is today, and I believe he graduated because I used to have an 87 yearbook. One of them gave me a yearbook. I don't have it anymore, but they cared enough about me to give me a yearbook.
Yeah.
And I stayed connected at least through the names of some of those older guys, but I don't know, man. The whole class of 88, really, I appreciate and love all those guys. Tracy Lee, Doug Cooper, Derek Sires, Damon Jones, Michael Rogers, that class, all them guys, man. I miss them guys.
Yeah.
89, I don't know. I don't see too many of them dudes. Just really Kenny Wilson and Paul Brown. Shout out to Paul Brown and National Mechanics.
Hell yeah.
Right,
Paul Brown and Kenny.
Yeah, because if Paul
Kenny's
didn't have
that dude
National, I don't know what we could call Founders Day anymore.
Yeah.
He has made it something special for the last.
Well, him and Doug pushes that all the time. But you reminded me of something that Girard did when we first got there. Girard had like a big brother.
Oh yeah,
they had a big brother program that was upperclassmen, and the person I got, rest in peace, was Derek Campbell.
Yeah.
So I remember his senior jacket had DAC on it, DAC for that,
Yeah.
And he was awesome because he would come down to junior school and like talk to me. So when that dude graduated, that was the first time I felt like I was losing somebody that was leaving because he spent that time with me. That's not my thank you, but that just kind of reminded me that Girard did away with that program, or they just didn't want me to mentor anybody because they didn't let me come talk to some younger kids.
Yeah.
I don't know who they would ever let us mentor because it seemed like we were running people into the ground. I don't know.
Well, the person I would thank today is actually one of your classmates. It would be Neil McNair. I was a wrestler.
Oh yeah.
He was, the guy that I definitely looked up to. You pulling out the old.
Thank him. You can thank him. He in there. He can go right there.
So, and one of the things that I would say about Neil is not only, he graduated, but he came back. He came back to be a house parent for so many kids. So it's generations of Girardians that know Neil so well.
And that's special. That's a special thing to do.
Yep.
Yeah. And I would say one of the funniest parts of that is like all these kids are calling him Mr. McNair, and me and the rest of us are like, yo, what's up, Neil? That's Mr. McNair. That's Neil. Yeah. Never going to call that guy Mr. McNair. Yeah. You're Neil.
This is our different forms, Maybe this is Neil in his greatest form, able to mentor and help these children along in such a way that he was helped.
Yeah,
You know,
it did.
the
He
full
did. Yeah.
circle effect. Because I don't know, Neil was a different dude. You know, I haven't met anyone like Neil in my life. As far as, you know, another person that's my friend and my brother.
Yeah.
You know, Neil was really like Puck. If you're familiar with Marvel Comics,
Yeah,
he was.
Alpha Flight.
Alpha Flight. I mean, yeah, Neil was Puck. And he was the short dude, but he was so strong.
Yep.
Yeah.
And he wouldn't stop. And, you know, the more you try to put him down, the more he'll fight up and get up. He was like the wrestling king of the wrestling team. He ran track, cross country. Like, it was nothing he couldn't do. You know, he was like a high honor roll student.
Yep.
You know, he was a great artist. And like Neil was one of the guys that helped get me into the art department with Mr. Kaufman, because I was originally in like mechanic shop or drafting, one of those.
Yeah.
And I hated that shop. Like I didn't want to do that. Like, I don't know how I got in this. I wanted to be in an art shop with my art friends. And, you know, I'm trying to convince Mr. Kaufman, and he didn't like me. But, you know, the rest of the class convinced him that if I gave him a portfolio and samples of my work, maybe he can consider it. So they told me, Wardell, you better do your best work. Drew something up and showed him, and he let me come into the class.
Nice.
So, you know, I thank Mr. Kaufman too. Like everybody that looked out for me, man. There's one person that I wouldn't thank, and I'm not gonna thank him. So
this weekend I thought about this. I thought about the segment, who I was going to thank, and I only had them for 1 year, but they were very instrumental for me that 1 year, and that was Angie Walker. Miss Walker. Miss Walker treated me as an individual, understood who I was, and basically mentored me my senior year. Made me focus on my grades, called me in when I was wrong. And even when she was kicking me out of class for inappropriate jokes, she still laughed while she was doing it. So I knew she was still cool as shit. But I owe her a lot for the time she spent with me that year. And I don't know how long she stayed after we were gone, if she was only there for 1 year, but she was instrumental. So I don't know, wherever she is, there was 2012, we were going to hang out coming towards Founders Day, and I couldn't make it, but I hope she's doing well and staying successful. But, you know.
Well, can I say this?
Yeah.
You know, I'm happy that, you know, any of this conversation didn't go one way that it could have went, you know, with a person. But on the topic of house parents and, you know, good house parents that were at Girard College that I remember and know, you know, besides like Mr. O'Rourke and Wardell Hall, cool Mr. O'Rourke, I want to say thank you. And, you know, wherever you're at in this world, I appreciate you being in my life for the time you were. Mr. Sullivan, like, I don't know if y'all ever had Mr. Sullivan. He was one of our house parents in Mariner Hall. Miss Adams, she was one. Miss Gina Adams, she was one of our house parents, I believe, in Banker Hall, and maybe also in Mariner. And Mr. Johnson. Mr. Johnson, he was our first house parent when we got to Banker Hall. He had B2, and he was our house parent in B2. And he got called to go to Merchant Hall. And I forgot who replaced him in Banker Hall, but when he made the announcement to us that he was going to Merchant Hall, we all cried.
Yeah.
Like the whole section. We sat there crying like, you know, little kids crying because we lost Mr. Johnson. He was only going across the hall.
So he wasn't going to be your house parent no more.
Yeah, so that, you know, that was part of the things that we had to get over. You know, they would call adversity or, you know, challenges in life, you know, things that are out of your control, but how do you get over them and keep moving on? That was like one of the first things we had to get over as a class. You know, we lost, well, not as a class, but as a section.
As a group, That ends this episode of Dorm Disorder Podcast. Please don't forget again, follow, subscribe, like, leave a comment. We need everybody's energy to keep this going. Thank you so much, and we'll see you back next week.
In case they give you, because mine was burnt off.